What's up everyone, my name is Michael, your host here at the Cyber Union. Welcome back. For those of you just joining us, this channel is dedicated to those looking to get into red team and blue team roles in the InfoSec community. Lucky for you, this video applies to both. We are going to be taking a look at the Mitre Att&ck Matrix, which is a way of looking at the attacker methodology. So if you enjoyed the video and this content, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The Mitre Att&ck Matrix is an easy way to view the attacker methodology, and although not complete in my opinion, the framework provides an organized categorical view of techniques actors use. But let me back up for a moment and explain what I mean by attacker methodology. This is the process by which an attacker gains persistent access to an environment he or she wishes to impact. By having a good understanding of this process, you, as a red teamer or blue teamer, will be able to provide more impact during an investigation or an assessment. The matrix we will cover consists of 12 tactics that range from gaining initial access to impacting the target network. My goal is to cover each one of these today in the fastest time possible. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Initial access is the first step to a successful attack. At this point, the attacker is not on the network or any systems. Instead, he is attempting to get valid credentials or find a way onto a system on the target network. This could be via a phishing email campaign or a drive-by attack. Next is the execution phase. Here, the attacker has successfully executed code within the environment. Using the example of a phishing campaign, the user downloading a document with malicious code embedded opens it onto the computer system and executes the code. This is a great demonstration of execution. After acquiring access to a host, the attacker does something that most admins and engineers preach: create redundancy. This stage is called persistence. The attacker will ensure that if for some reason he loses communications with the victim computer, he will be able to swiftly regain access. He could do this by adding a startup process that calls back to his computer or any other method he deems necessary. Now, the next few steps can happen in any order depending on the situation. Typically, the first access an attacker acquires does not have privileged access. This means he won't be able to do much. Think about it this way. Have you ever worked at a place where you couldn't even install a program on your laptop? This is the type of access the attacker may initially get. If this is the case, he will find a way to gain administrator level access. Ultimately, he will want to find someone with access to all the sensitive information such as customer data or patient records. Defense evasion is another step that may take place. Antivirus solutions and other defensive technologies could cause an attacker some frustration. More often than not, the attacker must find a way to get his tools to run without triggering these technologies. Whether that involves turning off the hindering software or rewriting tools that avoid signature detection, he must get his commands in code to run or he will not be able to proceed. The mythical Trojan horse is an example of bypassing signature detections. The giant horse didn't look bad, so they let it right through the defensive walls. Alright, credential access also happens at some point. Access to one account is never enough. Like privilege escalation, the attacker looks to get credentials to any other accounts possible. You never know which will be helpful. He will come across these in a plain text file or pull them from memory. Either way, at some point on the target network, the attacker will have a pile of valid credentials ready to use. Discovery. Like Christopher Columbus discovering America, the attacker must look around the target environment to map the network. It doesn't matter how much time you spend on researching a target. Once you get access, everything changes. You may not be positioned where you thought, or your database may not be where you thought either. Most of the time, mapping the network requires an additional step, called lateral movement. Lateral movement involves moving from computer to computer. The purpose is to find places he couldn't see previously. You can think about lateral movement like navigating through a stranger's home. When you first walk in the door, you have no way of knowing where anything is, and not every room is accessible from the entryway, such as the master bathroom. You must first walk down the hallway, enter the master bedroom, and then go into the bathroom. This is pretty much how networks work. Some systems are almost completely isolated, and an attacker must hop from system to system to get to the network with all the good stuff. At some point during all of this attacking, the attacker will start collecting other information from computers that have been compromised. This is called collection. Data at any point of the network to which the attacker has access to is up for grabs. Emails, network shares, clipboard entries are among some of the most common data found. For those of you wondering how the attacker is providing commands to the compromised host, this step is called command and control. Most often, this is provided from a system on the internet that a compromised host will talk to. If you are into spy movies, this is called a drop point, where the contact leaves instructions for the spy. This location is not only used for instructions, but all the data from the collections phase can be uploaded to this drop point as well. The act of taking the data out of the network is part of the phase called exfiltration. Now, on to the last stage, impact. Just like the name states, the attacker is looking to impact the network in some way. Impact is such an ambiguous word, but it really means to decrease the efficiency of business operations. You will have probably seen examples in the news with ransomware or defaced websites. All right, that's it. We have come to an end. You should have an understanding of the steps an attacker moves through as they take over a network. I will put together some other videos with labs where you can work through all of these steps together in one piece. So look forward to that.